I'm calling to order the September 29th Mayor and Council meeting for River Edge. I'd like to start off by asking for a moment of silent reflection for Mr. Bonds, the longtime crossing guard at Bogart and Wayne, whose daughter Anna Bonds just passed away recently. Ellen, do you want to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the Statement of Compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, this meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on January 7th of this location, date, and time to the Town News and Record, and by posting of same on the municipal bulletin board and the borough website, and filing a notice of the same with the municipal clerk. Notice of this meeting via the September 7, 2022 Sunshine Notice was sent to the Town News and Record and posted on the municipal bulletin board and borough website. Ann, could you conduct the roll call?
Sure. Councilwoman Bastide?
Here.
Councilman Kanigo?
Here.
Council President Kaufman?
Here.
Councilwoman Catella?
Here.
Councilwoman Malalari?
Here.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen and Mayor Papaleo are both absent with prior notice.
Okay, and now I'd like to have a motion to enter closed session to discuss 22-9/29-1 personnel subcommittee recommendations.
So moved. Second.
Okay. So we're going to closed session now?
Let's go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Should we close the doors? Open session. We were in closed session, and we will continue with that during the next meeting on October 13th. I'd like to do another roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide? Here. Councilman Kanigo?
Here.
Council President Kaufman?
Here.
Councilwoman Catella?
Here.
Councilwoman Malalari?
Here.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen and Mayor Papaleo are both absent with prior notice.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda, the minutes of the mayor and council closed session meeting and regular meeting of September 12th are being carried to the next meeting as there are not enough members present to vote. So we're moving on to the next thing, which is proclamations and awards, but I'm not sure if anyone's here yet for those. So, okay, do you want to move on to the Voorhees?
That may be
Too lengthy,
B and
yeah.
C. So we can, move to B and C.
Okay, so let's move on to 8B, meeting time for mayor and council meetings via Zoom. And Lisa, do you have thoughts on that?
Well, since we are moving to virtual meetings with the Borough Hall project moving forward, we just wanted to make sure in preparing the sunshine notice for the remainder of the year, will you want to start the meetings at 7 as we currently are in person, or start earlier at 6:30? We weren't going to make the decision before consulting with the rest of it.
If I may, I had asked originally for 7 because I have trouble getting back from New York City. That doesn't change for me. I still go to work in New York City, so I still need them at 7 if possible.
No objection, that's fine.
That's fine.
So it's confirmed for the sunshine notice to be for 7 o'clock.
And then item C is block party permits and say nothing. Talk to them.
I had contacted Council President Kaufman and Councilwoman Bastide with an issue that had taken place with a recent block party that was held with St. Peter's Carnival. And then also in your packet, there is feedback from the police chief. So all the governing body has to determine is whether to look into further with the codification committee to make a change to the ordinance regarding the block party permits, or just take it as, just have the police look further into it and determine if needed, any changes need to be made overall. Because this report, this resident communication was for, I believe, one event.
Can someone confirm the time that block parties, the duration? Are they supposed to end at 10 as the resident asserts, or do they go longer? Is there a time?
That would,
We have noise ordinances though, so that's probably where it
Yeah.
kind of comes in conflict, because it's probably not possible to have a block party and keep the noise level down, so.
Residents should be aware when they should end, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think there should definitely be some kind of coordination if there's a large event in town for the review of the permit or something like that, for sure. And residents should know that they can call the police if there's a violation of the noise ordinance or parking is a problem. You know, the chief gave a very thorough response, I thought, and was willing to work with us or the residents, so maybe we should refer it to him for further, for any recommendations to changes.
Yeah, and I don't think the remainder of it, although there were some subject matter that she brought up, the resident, that are valid, I still don't think it's for us to codify in any way whatsoever. So although, we understand where she's coming from, that portion of it, I don't think we should be addressing.
But I do think coordination is a good point.
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, it hasn't necessarily happened before, right? If this is just, it just so happens that it was on the same day as the St. Peter's.
We wouldn't know. Maybe nobody ever raised the issue before. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
This was like, there was the Van Saun Park Fall Harvest Festival that day too, and the St. Peter's, and then, but just an eye to other large events in town is probably a good idea.
Should I do 10 before 9? So I'm just going to move to item 10 and come back to 8A and 9 in a minute. Appointment and personnel changes. I'd like to have a motion and a second to approve the following appointments and personnel changes. And then an all in favor. I'd approve the extension of Olivia Schnapper as a temporary intern to provide assistance to the building department by sorting files that will be scanned through October 31, 2022 at an hourly rate of $15 up to 20 hours per week, effective September 29, 2022. B, approve the salary increase of Ryan Riley, police officer, from an annual salary of $44,146 to patrolman 18th grade, $53,609, effective October 25th, 2022. C, approve the salary increase of Jason Hall, police officer, from an annual salary of $44,146 to patrolman 18th grade, $53,509, effective October 25th, 2022. D, approve the salary increase of Diane Johnson, crossing guard, from an hourly step 2 rate of $22.05 to step 3, $23.21, effective November 9, 2022. E, approve the salary increase of Muriel Jones, crossing guard, from an hourly step 2 rate of $22.05 to step 3, $23.21, effective November 9, 2022. F, approve the salary increase of Tom Kalari, crossing guard, from an hourly step 2 rate of $22.05 to step 3, $23.21, effective September 19, 2022. G, approve the salary increase of John Goebel, crossing guard, from an hourly probationary rate of $18 to step 1, $20.89, effective September 1, 2022. H, approve the salary increase of Peter Van Gunst, crossing guard, from an hourly step 2 rate of $22.05 to step 3, $23.21, effective October 16th, 2022. I, approve the salary increase of Sean McLaughlin, crossing guard, from an hourly step 2 rate of $22.05 to step 3, $23.21, effective September 19, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then I'm just going to quickly do number 11, monthly reports. The following monthly reports are on file in the clerk's office and available for inspection. Shade Tree Commission, May of 2022.
Green art folks are here.
Okay, so if the storm drain art people would like to come in. So we're very happy tonight to be presenting certificates for the Storm Drain Art Contest Award winners. And I'd also like to start with Laura Hoogstraat saying a few words about the Storm Drain Contest. Welcome, Laura. Yeah, you can just.
So, and I also brought copies. I don't know if everyone has gotten to see the storm drain contest entries, so I did bring those with me. So for those of you who aren't aware of what storm drain art is, it's basically an awareness campaign. We live on the Hackensack River, and everything that goes in our storm drains goes right into the river. So the fifth graders at Cherry Hill and Roosevelt were able to have presentations from the watershed ambassador. She was able to teach them the importance of only water going down the drain. And then teachers, they created designs on paper. And two of those designs, one from Cherry Hill and one from Roosevelt, are now going to be painted onto the storm drains. So you may have seen, there's one from 2 years ago in front of Roosevelt School, and there's also one in the Cherry Hill Teachers Parking Lot. Those were from our first year running the contest. So before I started, I do want to thank some people. First of all, thank you to the mayor and council for having us here so that we can acknowledge the work of these fine environmentalists and artists. Also, we want to thank, of course, Denise Heitman and my council for providing administrative support for the contest. Samantha Rosenblum and Sandy Garbino were the teachers who ran the contest at their school. And let's see, I knew I would forget. No, I don't know that. Not think so. And our watershed ambassador, her name is Carissa Hurd, and she, as I said, did the presentations at the schools to teach the fifth graders about the importance of taking care of what goes in our storm drains. So we have
Certificates?
yeah.
Okay.
Participated, and we narrowed it down to some finalists.
Yeah,
And
it's
then there
right there on
were-
the table.
2 winners, and those are the ones whose artists, their designs will go on the storm drains. So we have, I don't know if everyone is here.
It might be the sponsor.
You could just use the table mic if that, yeah.
Is that, I don't know if that makes a difference.
It's an open meeting. Come on in, everyone. Come on in. Come on in, join us. There's plenty of seats.
So I don't know if all the artists are here, so I'll just read the names. If you're here, if you would come up and take your certificate. And if you want to show your artwork. Well, the runners-up were Rachel Kim. Congratulations. Kelly Choi. Maria Visconti. Sarah. Ray Solomon. And the runners up at Cherry Hill, Scarlett Ozio. Alina Madison keep it for her. Are you? All right, so. There, whose design will be painted on a storm drain on Howland Avenue, right outside Van Solon Park, Victoria Co. Can you show everyone your design? Sophie Song, Roosevelt. Congratulations. And if I could, just want to thank a few more people who are going to help with the next phase. So our artists did a fabulous job, but we are going to need the help of Jason Melito and the CPW crew. They are going to help clean and prep the storm drains. They're going to partner with River Edge PD to make sure that the traffic isn't a problem and that we're safe while we're painting. And a special thanks to Riverdale art teacher, Sarah Teresa Barlone. She is going to help transform art that looks like this on a flat piece of paper to art that can be painted on the storm drains. So, and that's really going to bring it to life. And I hope that everyone here goes and you're driving around town and you see it. Oh, I didn't mention Rachel's, no, sorry. Let's see if I can get the name I just said. Victoria's artwork is going to be on the storm drain on Continental Avenue, right outside Memorial Park.
Sure. Yeah.
Would all the winners like to come take a picture with Council President Kaufman and Mrs. Hookstrait? I can take it if you want.
Thank you guys for all your hard work. Congratulations. Thank you.
And you can look at your parents.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, why don't we, and we'll mail them to the schools? Can you do that? Okay. Anne, is that okay? She mails them to the schools? Yes. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you for doing this for our town. It's really a wonderful thing. Okay, so next up is presentation of award certificates to the Little League 9U District Champions. Are they all here?
They're downstairs. You'd like to get
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank
We
you.
also have old softball teams here.
Right, yeah, bring everyone. That's,
Bring them all up.
yep.
Michelle, do you want me to read the names out? Do you hand out the certificates or you?
I mean, I don't have the names separately, so. Okay, so the Little League, just the coaches are getting. And then this is for the Roosevelt part. Oh, look.
Yes.
It's like absolutely insane. It's like, it starts on the 11th, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just a para. I can only imagine what the hell they lived.
Our paralegal quit, like, I don't really have any support staff, so I was doing everything myself. I was like doing like everything. I was typing out pattern jury instructions before.
Okay, so we're going to start with the Little League 9U District Champions.
Good job, fellas, good job.
Okay. And if the two coaches want to come up, Coach Keith Zabrowski and Coach Justin Woods. Yes. I don't know if everyone wants to get up and take a picture behind the kids with the flag. You guys want to just?
Guys with the seal in the
Okay,
back. It's
all right,
nicer.
okay.
It's just easier. I walked and dragged this chair.
And if the coaches want to say a few words, please do.
I think we're good. Just to give you guys some context, they won the district tournament. It was, I think, 12 teams from northern New Jersey. We actually lost our first game in 8 innings and then won 7 games in a row to win the championship. We beat Ridgewood twice in a row to win the title. So these guys didn't give up on each other. They never gave up in the game. They fought their butts off for each other, and they built a really strong bond in the process. So we're really, really proud of them. I know myself, Coach Keith, and then obviously all of their parents, really, really proud of the way they fought through adversity and stood up for each other throughout the course of the tournament. So it's a
Right.
good group, great group of kids.
Congratulations, boys.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's push up the flag. Single file, right that way. Lead the way. Lead the way. Single file. Single file.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you for all you do. Okay, next up we've got Regal 12U and 2-3 travel softball teams.
The boys didn't have certificates.
No, it was just for the coaches. I'm not sure. Yeah.
They usually have it, so.
What is this? Or is the certificate?
I think for
Go that way. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Come on.
Bottleneck.
Maybe tell the next group next file filter out this way.
No. Does the whole team get these or just the coaches?
No, just the coaches.
Yeah, just the coaches.
Sorry.
No, you're good. We just
The players' names. It was based on.
Guys, hey.
Email the players' names and we'll do certificates.
I did that ahead of time, or like a month ago.
We'll get him, we'll get him.
Okay. So I was going to start with the Regal 12U certificates.
Hey, why don't you start with the other ones, because the other one's right here.
Oh, all right, that's fine. All right. Let's start with the Regal 2-3. Okay. Are all the 2-3s here?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, great. Good. How are you? Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, 1 second, let the parents come in.
Okay. No.
Let's just hope it works.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. This is a big night for these girls, for these young girls, young athletes of River Edge. Guys, this is the future right here. Our 8 and 9-year-olds, our second and third graders. We entered the Kinder Kamak tournament, Kinder Kamak League, as a group of all second graders in a second and third grade division, and we wound up going 9-1 and taking a championship home. So, girls, congratulations. I want to thank the parents for all the support through the whole season. You know, schedule changes and stuff. You guys adapted well. Thank my coaches, Coach Mike, Coach Ray, Coach Kevin, Coach Joe, and Coach Matt. Appreciate you guys being there and kind of being my eyes and ears and stuff. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. So appreciate that. Girls, this is your night. Congratulations.
Okay, so we're going to start with Danielle Sansevier. Danielle. And next is Juliana Maeda. Faith Caribs. Kira Searles. Gabriella Cuomo. Sophia Ingenido. Emma Schweiger. Taylor Halpin. Jordan Sabella. Savannah Guzman. And Mary Tipo. And Coach Daniel. There you go. All right. Oh, God. Where were they? It was. Sorry about that.
Ryan texted me.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you guys. Thank you.
See him there. Can someone text him? I don't know whether. How are you? Okay. Next up is the 12U travel team.
Hey, do you know anybody that knows the coach that was just here with the boys?
I know Justin just from town. I just don't know his number or anything, but that's all right. We'll get it to him.
The whole fun
Next
thing
up is the Regal 12U travel team. Okay. Are you Coach Peter?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe you want to start off with a few comments. Yeah, yes.
Let everybody file in. How you doing, Pete?
Hi.
Come on in. There's room.
Is that everyone?
A few stragglers outside.
Is this on? Hello, everyone. On behalf of our team, I'd like to thank the mayor and council for honoring our team's accomplishments tonight. We also were in the Kinderkamak League, as Dan's team was, and we made it to the championship and beat an undefeated Emerson team, which was a great accomplishment. We've been coaching these girls since 2nd, 3rd grade, and now they're all 7th and 8th graders. So we're very proud of them and thankful to their parents for letting them play for us to coach them. I'd also like to acknowledge our other coaches, Mike Bertuzzi, my wife, Jennifer Theodorakos, Mark Strasser, Jason Marcus. Am I missing anyone? Did I get him? Sparky. Yes, Carol Fontana, who's not here also, and Jason Marcus, who's not here as well. So thank you, and appreciate this night.
This is for you.
Stay, Coach. Stay.
Thank you very much.
Please,
And
stay
for
for
the
the
photo.
pictures and stuff.
And we'll start with Taylor Strasser. You're welcome. Congratulations. Reese Hornage. Olivia Bertuzzi. Congratulations. Molly Furrer. Congratulations. Keegan Fogarty. Caitlin Valeva. Congratulations. Julia Marcus. Emma Arabia. Kate Theodorakis. Caitlin Fontana. Congratulations. Anna Pascale. Congratulations. And Alyssa Adriano. All right.
Guys, come up. Coach.
I don't know the other one.
Can I give someone my...
I'll take it and send to everybody. All right, you ready? Look here. Pete, go a little to the right. There you go. Caitlin Bob, look at me. Excellent.
So kids' sports is what makes this town such a great town in large part, and I'm so glad you guys are doing well.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, I think we're going to just change the agenda schedule a little to allow a public comment on a non-agenda item before we get into the Voorhees discussion. Do I need to?
Yeah, you have to move to open.
I'd like to move the meeting to open comment from a non-agenda item.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay. So if you
Just wait
two,
a second, because
okay. 1 second.
You can step out, too.
If you two could step up and come and state your name and address. You don't have to give the house number, just your street.
Well, thanks for allowing me to speak or just sort of complain. My issue is with ash trees. We moved in here 22 years ago.
Name and street.
His name is Lang, L-A-N-G. 22 years, I think, we've been here. Love the town.
Street?
Elm Avenue.
Okay.
They planted 2 elm trees a while ago, about 20 years ago, and they're more or less taking over my life now. They're causing me issues, and I don't really have a policy of what the town's issue, how does the town stand with this? Walking down the block and just seeing the destruction with these particular trees that join to the sidewalks, and the curbs, street, sprinklers, everything else, I don't really get an answer from the town. They say, we'll talk to the tree commission. You talk to the tree commission, they say the tree is really in good shape. And that's it. She sends a picture of how to handle the tree, as long as it's 2 inches, you can level it off with concrete, and maybe you can go around the tree a slight amount, but that's the extent of the town's reaction. And now, that's why I'm here. I've had issues with the concrete. I've already replaced most of them. I don't feel like doing it again. The trees are causing this issue. And that's where I stand. I mean, what is the town's position?
The Shade Tree Liaison is not here tonight.
Also, they're not elm trees, they're ash trees.
Okay.
Ash tree, I'm sorry, ash trees.
They're ash trees.
Okay.
So the Shade Tree Commission is an autonomous commission. So the mayor and council doesn't have any jurisdiction over the Shade Tree Commission. So they make the decision as to the viability of the trees, whether they come down, whether they don't come down. Your concern, I've been here probably now, I think 8 years sitting here as borough attorney, and it's been a concern for 8 years. And they have to handle it on a case-by-case basis. And the first step is to have the Shade Tree Commission go out, take a look at it. You then can appeal it to the Shade Tree Commission, see what they want to do, what they don't want to do in regards to taking the tree down. And then you could come here, and I believe you may have already done that, and you come here, and then the mayor and council has to make that determination as to then what can and shouldn't be done. So it's really hard as to taking the tree down if the Shade Tree Commission is saying don't, unless it's a safety issue. And we just recently had one where it was a safety issue, and the town decided, I believe, right, we're in the process of taking that one down because it was a safety issue. So that's where the policy is pretty much on a case-by-case basis.
As per the definition of commission, the commission works for you. It's assigned by you guys.
No.
That's my definition of
So
commission.
the state statute is when you create a Shade Tree Commission, they're an autonomous commission. So they get appointed by the mayor and council, but they have all the powers unto themselves to deal with the trees in town.
Well, I not to drag this on any further.
That's for a
at
whole
this
nother
point.
discussion as to whether Shade Tree Commission, autonomous, not. That discussion has, over the years, evolved also. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Well, the other thing is in the back or forefront now is where is the town's position as for the curb, the distance, the easement, and who is responsible for what, and when do I have to, if any action?
Yeah, so-
Why am I required to do anything?
Yes, look, I can't give you legal advice, but the town's responsible from curb to curb. Okay, even though so their curb to curb is the town's responsibility. So even though that little stretch of grass and the sidewalk is still public, you're responsible for snow removal, you're responsible for maintenance of the sidewalk. So although it's a public sidewalk, it's the homeowner's responsibility for repairing it, fixing it. Just as if you sell your house and you get a CO and your sidewalk's all cracked up, they're going to make you repair it before you sell the house.
I beg to differ and beg your, with all due respect. What I read is totally different. It says that I'm not mandatory to change or fix anything on that sidewalk, regardless of what local towns issue or say. Now, what you just said, I understand.
I didn't
and
say
I get
that,
that.
though.
Huh?
I didn't say that, though.
Well, that's my next thing is I need to get that in writing because you're saying I'm responsible for the maintenance and you guys are causing me the maintenance.
So to give you an example, you're responsible for, like, snow removal.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't remove the snow, the town can issue it even though it's a public thing. I didn't say that unless the town comes out and acts and gives you, based on the ordinance, a violation or a notice that you need to cure it because it's a dangerous condition, then you have to act upon it. If the town doesn't come out and give you that notice or violation, then there's no responsibility for you to be proactive and fix it if you don't want to. But if the town then issues a notice of violation, then it's going to fall upon you to fix it.
I disagree, and I've
That's the
read
ordinance.
this, that's not, I just want that on record, I disagree with that, and I
okay.
don't, from what I understood, that's not the case. They say I'm not mandated to do anything on that. Once I touch it, then it's a separate issue.
So you're talking about legal liability.
That's part of it.
Yeah, that's what you're saying is if you don't touch it and you're a one-family house, you're not legally responsible for it. Once you make repairs or once you shovel the snow and you leave a thin ice, now you become legally responsible. So that's, again, a different question that you're posing to me as to that you don't have to do it, and I never said you had to do it unless the town acts upon it.
It's still coming back to me as saying I'm responsible, and I disagree.
So it
I mean,
depends-
your tree is causing, I have 2 of these trees, by the way.
But I guess for the mayor and council is, what's the end goal here? What are you asking for the mayor and council to do?
Well, I don't want your option is you cut the tree down. These roots have extended 25 feet in a radius around my yard. I paid a few times for the sprinklers damaged. I already replaced a lot of the concrete in the front. And as you can come and look, it's shot. And your tree is definitely the cause. It's pushing up the whole yard.
So your request is to have the tree removed?
No.
Or to have, what's your request? That's what I'm trying to get at here.
Well, what I want and request is, I don't want to be future liable for any of this in writing. I want
we
the
can't
town.
we can't give you that.
Sure you can.
No, I can't.
Your trees are causing damage. I can
I
listen.
can't give you
I don't
that.
want to get into a threat thing, but I went down my own block, and half the block is destroyed from guess what? I got records from the young woman here that tells me where the ashes are planted. I can go around systematically around the town. I did a two-block walk, and there was destruction from these trees up and down the block. And I go, geez, lucky us. There's 5 ashes in a row, and the whole block is destroyed. And then I look at the list I got. It's hundreds and hundreds of these ash trees throughout the town. And you're coming back with the stock answer, talk to the tree commission. The tree commission comes back and says the tree is in really good shape. And that's the extent of it. The town is, in my opinion, liable for this tree. I was here when you guys put the tree there.
I'm trying to get at, what's the request that you're trying to get
I
at?
want to be non-liable for the future of in living in this town forever.
As the borough
Number one.
attorney, the answer is no, I cannot give you that.
Well,
If
you asked
something
me what I wanted.
happens, I'm sure the attorney that's representing somebody will bring everybody
Listen, I can
into
go
the
into town,
lawsuit.
I'm sure I can gather everybody and start a class action suit, and I'm sure that
Sir,
would be
again,
well paid for.
As the
So,
borough
I mean, if we're
attorney,
gonna go
I
to that.
can't give you an you're looking for an indemnification, which I cannot give you.
Sure
Or
you
I
can. Sure
I
you
can't.
can.
The answer is no.
That's not the only request. This thing has destroyed half my yard with the roots. Now, cutting the tree down would not suffice. Those roots are gonna be alive for at least 10 to 15 years minimum. They've already extended throughout my yard. The sprinklers were $4,000. Your tree is causing this damage, not to mention the lawn itself. You can't even mow my lawn now without worrying about broken your ankle. I already broke my ankle. These roots are the cause of a lot of my grief.
I'm sorry, this is 2
I know
minutes.
what's going
2
on.
minutes
I'm
allowable, so we're going to have to end this now. Thank you.
Well, where do we go from here, though?
Have you appealed to the shade tree?
In reference, how do you appeal? I sent email, she sends back a little piece of paper saying, how do you deal with
That is a
concrete?
good question. Do we have a process for appeal to the shade tree? Because we have told other people to appeal to the shade
Yes.
tree, and if there's no real clear process that we have, then how can they?
We just recently had one that came back and they showed us pictures. It was covering the storm drain.
Right.
I sent the engineer out and they said it's in their, even though the tree's healthy, in their opinion, there's, it needs to come down because it's covering the storm drain. So.
But I guess in
that's
this,
what they got to
in
us.
this instance, have they appealed? Do we have any way of knowing if
I
they've
don't know, have you
appealed?
gone in front of the shade tree requesting them to remove the tree?
No, I don't want the tree to remove. I have 2 of them. I don't want the trees removed. It's 20 years too late for that. The trees have they've done the priority is either the tree or the side roads. You can't have it both ways, in my yard and all of that, and say, well, say, Levy, you're responsible, and say, it's your problem. I don't think that's right.
What our attorney is telling us is that this is legally impossible for us to do. So we can't do what you're asking us about the
That's not true. I
indemnification.
don't believe you.
You may not believe it, and that's fine. I'm not going to have a debate with you, but our attorney says it to us, so we believe him. So I'm telling you that's not going to happen. So, but we do want to try to help you, and if there is a way that we can help you, we're here to listen.
All right.
The process here is you have to go to Shade Tree. You have to explain to them because they have means of taking care of roots and things of that nature. Then once
They've
you
already
are,
been-
let me finish, please. Once you are finished with that process and the appeal, then you have the option to come back to us, and then our attorney will tell us what we can and we cannot do. But these processes are in place for a reason, and they have to be followed. We cannot break these processes, so I'm just telling you, this is what has to be done. And you have to have something reasonable. Asking the town to indemnify you for the future is not legally tenable, and it's not going to be something that this council is going to, at least certainly not something that I would consider, but I'm pretty confident that the rest of the council would say the same thing.
Well, I disagree. And if it wasn't for Ms. Kaufman, we've already gone the route of notifying, sending email that they didn't respond. The only reason why they responded at all is because Ms. Kaufman got a copy of the email we sent. And she got involved and say, So, but here we are, back to square one. The tree commission is what? What do they recommend? Leave the tree or cut the tree down? That's not going to suffice. So, I'm sorry you take up all your time, but I guess we'll meet again. Thank you.
Thank you for your input, and, please get in touch with Shade Tree to try to appeal. That's our advice.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 8A, Voorhees Avenue project. It's the next item on the agenda.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Flores. I'm a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. To give you a little background of my credentials, I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and environmental engineering from New Jersey Institute of Technology. I do have a master's degree on stormwater management and construction management. I've been working for Costa Engineering for almost 7 years, and I've been involved in multiple projects through 2018 until now in the Board of River Edge. And Voorhees drainage improvement is one of the latest projects that we're working on. So I'm here today to do a recommendation to the board as to whether award that bid or reject the bid, if I'm correct on that. Okay, so let me start by giving a little a summary of what this project is. That project was brought up to us last year to try to come up with solutions to alleviate the flooding along Voorhees, Manning, and Kensington. So through many years, we now know that the rainfall intensity is increasing, and more often we're getting more heavy rain. So when we look at this area, we did a study of how much drainage area was coming into the area, and we come up with a solution to implement a detention system, which included a 60 inches RCP pipe. And then to come up with a overflow pipe that is going to take most of the Elm Avenue ditch flow into Wayne Avenue, where the ditch opened up. Through that process, we encounter a system that is out there, and the name of that system is Storm Capture. And that system it is pretty much a box, which is going to substitute the 60 inches RCP pipe. When we did a cost analysis of this storm capture price versus how much it would cost the 60 inches RCP pipe, the material price was the same, but the advantage of using this system is that we get double the capacity that we originally estimated. And I know from the record, we originally estimate 18 cubic feet of storage. With this system, we're close to, 18,000 cubic feet of storage, thank you. And with this system, we're roughly at 36 to 37,000 cubic feet of storage, which is double the capacity of. So here I'm showing a picture of the storm capture, so everybody knows what's going to be in the ground if this project goes through. It's pretty much a box, an empty box that, all the void inside is just going to be water. It's going to fill with water. And eventually we're going to let that go slowly. And we believe with this, we'll alleviate the flooding. I mean, most people are not going to get flooded. I mean, we're still going to get some water in the on the paper street. It's going to be minimal. It's going to be minimal. Within an hour, 2 hours, that water is going to be gone. So if I want to show you some of the proposed plan. So the detention system is going to be placed between Voorhees and Kensington on the paper street. And, this space is limited because we have some storm sewer in the area. We have water mains. We have PSCNG, I believe is going through there. But there you go. You can see where these chambers are going to be. We have roughly 36 to 37,000 cubic feet of storage. And if you can see where the Elm Ditch, Greg, you can point that out, Elm Ditch comes into it. So that's one of the main reasons why this area flooded, because Elm Ditch ends, which is open, is an open ditch. It gets piped at that specific point. So our idea is to add another 36 inches pipe at that specific point and pick it up all the way from there to Wayne Avenue, which is pretty much that flood front. The flooding from Elm is going to be pretty much redirected all the way to Wayne Avenue, up to there, which is going to be on the south end of the culvert. So when we bid this project, we broke it up into 3 different parts. The base bid, which includes the overflow pipe and the detention system with the storm capture. We have alternate A part of the bid, and that was just more like to try to get a price of how much it will cost to build this with the 60 inches RCP pipe. That's what alternate A is. It's just to see what the price of using the 60 inches RCP pipe is. And then alternate B will be the restoration of this road. We go from Wayne Avenue all the way to Kensington Road. Also, alternate B includes the extra catch basin on Manning, and I believe it's Voorhees. Yes, we're going to add extra catch basins on the road in order to be able to capture more water there, and we're going to be able to fill these storm captures. As to the bid results, maybe you can open the bid so everybody can see that. So we had CMS Construction being the lowest bidder with $1,746,000 for the base bid. And I highlight the storm capture pricing, so which is roughly $700,000 both combined. So I can show everybody what that price is in comparison to the 60 inches RCP pipe, which is the alternate A. It was a surprise for myself as well, and I guess for my office, that the 60 inches RCP pipe came higher than the storm captures. The alternate A came to be roughly $750,000 in comparison to the storm capture to be $700,000. Are we gonna go to questions, or should I make my recommendation now?
Well, let me just add, as I mentioned at the last meeting, when these estimates were drawn up, it was before the inflation explosion. And so when we went through the whole budget process, what had been budgeted as far as construction was $1,083,000. So before elaborating anything further, as part of the deliberations, is we can A, fund either base or the base and alternate B now, and our CFO, Chris Battaglia, is here to explain what would happen at that point. Or B, reject these bids based on our professional's recommendation. That will allow us to go out again. And in going out again, do you want to keep these additional inlets and paving as an alternate or incorporate it in the base bid. And even if those bids come too high, that under the local public contracts law, you have to go out to bid twice, and then you can negotiate the price. Whether we can get the price close to our original estimates is to be seen. And if the decision is to reject and to go out to bid again, do you want the CFO to incorporate some additional funding for a potential balance, or just wait and see how the bids come in? But with that, we're trying to include several projects that have come up since our original bond ordinance into one bond before the end of the year, and just have a clean financial transition. So with that, Mr. Flores, please continue.
Okay, so when my office originally provided the estimate was back at the end of 2021, the beginning of 2022. Prices we were seeing some price increasing. We were seeing some supply chain issues, but not as much as we're seeing now. So I actually, I believe, Greg, if you can open one file for me. I believe it's comparison of estimate. There you go. So just to give an idea to the council, this is the estimate that we did while we were on the conceptual phase. So just by doing a comparison of prices then and with the prices that we got from this bid, the increase on just the material itself was roughly 38% increase. And that's not counting some conflicts that we encountered on the field with PSE&G, with Suez, not encountering the restoration, the grading, and the extra catch basin. That all that puts us at 1.7 for the construction. So I will do the recommendation to the council. My recommendation is that since we bid this project during the high peak of inflation, which was during the month of August and September, I believe that my recommendation is to reject the bids and to go out back and rebid it again. So that give us time to see if we get a better pricing than this, and also give us the chance to negotiate if they even come same or higher than that. So that's my recommendation to the council.
Jason, just to be clear, so the difference in the pricing is basically the piping, the 60-inch piping?
No.
It seems to have gone.
When I did this estimate, when I usually do an estimate, I do have a different bids from 2 years, and I do take the average of that pricing of the material, and I do that my estimate just to get an estimate. So, but now I'm just doing a comparison of the estimate that I provide to everybody that he said mentioned the 1.3 million, based on the number that we just got from the lowest bidder. So that increase alone is a 38% increase in cost.
Okay.
Correct. That's what it shows.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
And why we add a 1.7 million is because, once you are in a conceptual phase, that is very hard to see things that you can encounter there. So when you do a topographic map, you know exactly what you're going to need. So that other $300,000 difference comes into restoration of the road, getting a bigger manhole, trying to get a pipe around the conflicts, try to get the overflow, the backfill, and all that. So all that is encountered on the other. That's why we are at 1.7 million.
Okay.
So.
That's a good question.
For sure.
So, did I hear you also say your recommendation, along with, or maybe you didn't say, if we were to reject the bids, is it your recommendation to eliminate the pipe and go with the basins? Or whatever they're called?
My recommendation is just to choose the storm captures, yes, because for the same amount of price, we're getting double the capacity of the.
Is it the same amount or is it less? I thought it was less.
It's double.
No,
But less
capacity
money.
is double. I thought you said the cost
Oh,
was less.
the cost is the same, the capacity is the double. So for the
I
same amount of
misunderstood
money,
you. I
we're
thought-
getting
okay.
double the capacity in the area, yes.
So we're saying what, like 1.7, that's the cost that we're looking at?
What's the number that we're looking at? I'm a little
Oh,
confused.
it's the low.
Well,
can
the
you open
1.7 is the base
It's a base bid, yeah.
of the storm capture. It does not include the alternate bid that had the additional inlets, the stream cleaning, the extra manholes. So that's something to consider.
And that was B,
Yeah, that was
Alternate
B.
B.
which is this 250,
Yes,
254,000.
yes, that price can be cut by half because that includes also the milling and paving of the road from Kensington to Wayne Avenue. But from a lot of meetings that I have with PSCNG and Suez, they're gonna be coming in town next year to do some LED program and they do some upgrade for the gas main. So we don't have to pay the road. I mean, we can take advantage of, public utility coming in town to take care of them then.
So what is the time frame? Just if we were to take the recommendation and go back out to bid, how long does that whole process take from start to finish?
Well, at the next meeting, we would have to formally reject the bids by resolution as required under local public contracts law and select the bid opening date. And it all depends how much of a difference in the bid specs need to be done, but internally, we could work out to hold the bid opening if our meeting is October 13th, then putting the ad in the paper. We could hold the bid opening by the first week of November.
I guess where I'm getting at is like, Voorhees has been waiting a really, really, really long time. I don't want these residents to have to face another hurricane season next fall and not have this project in place already.
Well,
I mean,
How much of a delay would that be?
Yeah.
It's
as-
not
as
a delay,
opposed-
really.
It's not
Right.
a
It's
delay.
not.
Wait,
It's
it
not a
sounds
delay.
like we're looking at like 6 or 8 weeks if we reject them to go back to open and get another bid.
I don't think it would make a delay
That's
in,
my point.
in shovels in the
Starting.
ground.
That's my
Right.
starting.
point.
Even
Yes.
if,
I want to be clear.
even if Chris opened the vault and gave the money so we could, have the
Won't be able to
contractor start, we can't because the utilities have to perform work first before we can do any digging, do any work on our end, and then, nothing can be done once the first frost hits.
Right.
So even if we had the money on hand, had a signed contract, the soonest we can move forward, weather contingent would be April. So going out to rejecting and going out to bid again to try to secure a better price would not have any impact.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Any questions from anyone else?
I think
Should we move? Oh, sorry, 1 second. We need to open for public comment, isn't that right?
Yes, but first to deliberate and know how to advise Jason to move forward, as well as Chris to figure out how much of a balance to add to this extra bond ordinance for this project. Because we cannot award any project until we have funding in place.
Okay, so
You have a level of confidence that we will see a reduction in the bids.
Yes, but my recommendation is to award base bid and alternate bid without the milling and paving.
Right.
But yes, I do believe we're gonna get a better price.
So it's possible if we receive bids same as we have now, we still will need a balance of 800,000 to fund. So if that's the case, then that's the direction Chris would need to put in the bond ordinance, in the supplemental bond ordinance that we're working on already.
So do we have to agree that we're going to reject this bid and then add whatever funds need to be added in order to fulfill?
So there would have to be two decisions made. Reject and rebid based on our engineer's recommendations, and also give the direction to the CFO to put in X amount additional in the bond for the balance of the project.
Did we speak before or after the vote?
That's up to you to decide.
What's your recommendation?
Open it to the
Okay.
residents.
So I'd like to open up to public comments for any item on the agenda. They will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. I'd like a motion and a second to open the floor to the public on any item on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So if anyone would like to make a public comment, please come forward, state your name, and give your street address, not the number, just the street. Thank you.
Tim O'Donnell, Voorhees Avenue. I'm about ready to cry. So this inflation thing in the volatile market started in 2019, not just 2021 when you did your estimate. Concrete, aggregate, any kind of raw materials for any kind of excavation or construction work have been increasing since 2012 at a 4% mark. Now, I get with all this COVID nonsense and everything that it's jumped up to almost 40%, but 40% based on what? 40% based on a number you used last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago? I don't know, right? So if you take an average of 4% increase in materials over the last 10 years, that's a 40% increase. I get it. I'm in the business too. I know a little something. Now, the only thing I am scared, and I am scared completely, is if this gets rejected. We've been, 12 to 18 years coming up here to try and get something. And all we got so far is 2 extra sewer caps that Laura's kids can come and paint as a nice new canvas. I'd love it. But I mean, you're telling me that the prices are going down. I haven't seen it. $1,700,000. As I said in the first meeting, $1 million, $1.3 million, or $1,800,000, whatever it was, is not enough. It's not enough. It wasn't a real number. I don't know where it came from. You put that money aside, but now you're saying you're over budget based on what? Based on the money that was allocated. But if the bid was off in the beginning, it's going to be off. If the money allocated in the beginning was too low, it's going to be off. Here's what I'm going to say. $1,700,000, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, that might be 2.3. Take a gamble. You're gambling with us for the last 18 years. Take a gamble on the $1,700,000. Let's get it done, please. I'm begging you.
Anyone else? Does anyone else want to come up and comment, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a whole lot for me to speak in public, but do I have to use the mic, or can I use my teacher voice? Brianna Beyersdorfer Voorhees. I don't have a question. I just need you to know how desperately we need this. My family has owned our home since 1978. We are ingrained in this town, and my father was kind enough to give us a home that he knew he felt safe for us and my family. And I am a hurricane tracker at this point. All of us are. And we don't feel safe anymore. I have a 2-year-old, and I flee my home with her when it's gonna rain. Any rain. Whatever you do, I just need you to know how desperately we want this. We want to stay in this town. And if we can't get this, we can't stay here. In the town that my mother ran the Regal Basketball League for. In the town that my dad played tennis in for the last 40-something years. Like, we are a part of this town, and most of the people on this block are. And we are so grateful that you are listening to us and you are understanding. I just want you to know how desperately we need this. And we want to stay here, and we want to feel safe in our homes. And I'll tell you, on Saturday, when it's supposed to rain in this, like, I now know what a spaghetti model is in a hurricane. Like, we are living in this state of anxiety. And I am more grateful for the people on my block and in my area than I ever have been. We're texting each other, move your cars now. This summer, I want to say we moved our cars at least once a week because we were so terrified. We had people during Ida walking out of their homes with children on their shoulders. And this is a preventable issue. And we just want it fixed because we want to live in this town. I went to a farmer's market with my 2-year-old today, and how grateful I am for that. So I don't have a question. I just want you to know that we want to stay here. And we feel lucky to be a part of this town. And we just really need this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so I'd like to close to public comment now. Could I have a motion and a second for that?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Chris, could you come and speak to the financing, Chris, our Chief Financial Officer, and how the updated debt policy will allow the project to be funded?
Sure. Do I need to use the mic, or can I help?
Use your CFO voice.
My CFO voice, yeah. So procedurally, we're ready for either decision. All right, so tonight you have a resolution on the agenda to increase the debt policy that will authorize us to, that will allow us to authorize the debt up to 1.5% rather than the 1% debt limit that our previous policy set. That would be required to move forward with the bond ordinance that Lizette was mentioning before that will ultimately fund this project. Also on this agenda, you have an emergency authorization. The emergency authorization addresses the delta between the original amount that we included in the bond ordinance, that was the $1,080,000, and the potential award of this bid of the $1.7+ million. Right, so there is an emergency authorization on this agenda. Procedurally, that gets approved first. You authorize moving forward with the contract, and you have a legal appropriation in place to do that.
No, the emergency is for the Valley Road project. That's the emergency. We're not doing anything with Voorhees.
Okay.
That's the emergency.
Same process then. The emergency authorization would be in place. You would award the contract, which you're doing at the next meeting for this, either way.
We're either going to award or reject.
Or reject. You're making a decision next meeting. Sorry about that. So you'll have an emergency authorization on that agenda for the delta between the two, the amount that we authorize and the amount that the project would be awarded for. That would give you the legal appropriation to actually award the contract. Subsequent to that, we would have a bond ordinance. So the timing is a little bit of an issue just because we do need to make sure that we have the bond ordinance adopted before the end of the year. The adoption usually takes introduction, adoption, estoppel period. The estoppel period can run through the new year, so that's not a concern, but you do need to have it adopted before the end of the year. So the further that we push this back, the further it's going to have to get pushed back because we won't be able to introduce and adopt an ordinance until the end of January into February if we push it into 2023. That's just a procedural issue. So the bottom line is you can make the decision that you want to make, whether you're going to award or not award. We'll have the emergency authorization in place. We'll push as quickly as we need to get the bond ordinance in place subsequent to that. You would be authorizing, the delta right now is ballpark 700,000, but you'll likely be authorizing closer to 800,000 or 900,000 because I'm going to need to build in some kind of contingency for change orders once they dig up the road and see other problems. We don't want to have stop work right in the middle of the project if we don't have available appropriation. So I would probably look to budget at least 20% more. That'll get us to the max of the change orders without having to re-advertise. And then if it's available, if it doesn't go to that, we'll cancel it before we authorize debt on it or before we issue the debt on it. And then the cash flow we'll address separately. We'll borrow the money as needed to pay the vendor accordingly. So procedurally, we can make it work. There's tight timelines around the whole process, but you'll be taking action at just about every meeting for the rest of the year to accommodate it. Any questions?
So right now we're at the point, just to poll everyone to determine, move forward with the base bid or reject and rebid. Because we can't pick apart alternate B.
So I want you all to understand that I'm in favor of this, and this is going to eventually happen, whether it happens at this meeting or another meeting. But we have a lot of expenses in this town right now, so I think that we have to reject it and see if we can get a lower price. If we can't get a lower price, then we have to move forward. I agree. It's not going to delay the shovels in the ground if we go this route. We have been told that, and we're telling you that. So whether we vote yes or no, it makes no difference in timing. So I would say then let's vote no, reject it right now, try to get the lower bid, and if it does not come in, then enough is enough, and then we do what we need to do to go forward.
That'll be in the minutes.
I mean, I'm on video, I just said it to you, there's people here, I don't know what you want. I mean, I'm saying what I think is best for the town and for everybody involved. I understand your pain. I always get water in my basement, which I use as my man cave, and I dread storms every time there's a bad weather, so I get it, I really do. But I also have a responsibility to the town, a fiscal responsibility. There's this, you heard, the Valley Road project came in. We didn't expect that expense. That's a lot of money, and we do not want to hit you guys with enormous tax bills. We work really hard not to do that. So I think this is the best course of action right now. We have to listen to our professionals, but we're hearing you. I mean, we're here, we're listening, and we're not brushing you off. We're just trying to do it the right way.
How about the federal government? Because I was sent something from New Jersey, federal government about Ida, and they were asking me as a person who had been flooded to answer a questionnaire on how I could alleviate the situation of what happened to me. What was that all about? Is there federal money available that you can apply for in addition to your own budget? I don't hear, I mentioned it to the mayor, but he said that he made an inquiry, but it's just preliminary.
Yes, the mayor is correct, that is preliminary. The state is trying to determine how to provide funding assistance, but even,
To towns, not to me.
well, they're looking at it completely, whether it's direct to residents or to towns or a hybrid of both, but it's all very much in the preliminary stages. And even when they come up with an idea, they have to appropriate, they have to set up rules, and they have to set up grant parameters. Then you have to apply and compete and hopefully be awarded. We'd be done. We would, by the time the state is done with that whole assessment and has all the rules and the grant application, we could be done with the project. So, but River Edge has, like every town in New Jersey, has flooding issues. If there's money, we'll take advantage of it to apply to other projects. But right now, and based on what your neighbor said, we can't wait. And we're trying to move forward as quickly and fiscally responsibly as we can.
One more question. So how long until it goes out to bid again?
I'm sorry.
When will we go out to bid again?
How's it gonna-
She
how long
said,
until it goes out to bid again?
she said earlier.
We'll be out to
Middle of
bid
November.
within 4 weeks. And we will know, once we have the bid opening, the results will be reviewed, and then we will know before mid-November, if we have to reject and negotiate. But the project, will, based on the discussion tonight, we'll work on the balance of the funding, and then move forward with the purchasing end of rejecting and rebidding and negotiating, and looking to award the project. And all that paperwork can be done during the winter, since we can't do any physical work anyway.
So I'm in agreement with Dario that we should reject this. I don't know what everyone else thinks, and go out and rebid, since it won't change the timetable at all. And we do have the Fed hiking rates substantially, and people are very concerned about recession now, so hopefully the contractors will become a little more reasonable.
I have to know that that timeline that you've laid out, Lizette, is a real timeline, and that we can actually meet those timelines, and we can commit to the residents here that that's the timeline, and that our shovels in the ground will be the spring regardless, and that I need.
The only thing
Need a
that would be
commitment.
outside of our control is the utilities. But from our end, securing the funding, securing the vendor, securing the contract, we can do. But if the utilities cause a delay,
I'll let you do the utilities now.
Which, that's what we're trying to do, yes.
Yeah.
That's what
They're-
we're trying
they're
to do.
work-
Even if it's rejected, I'm saying.
No, yeah,
Do
that's what we're trying to do.
utilities now.
they're trying to do it in tandem. But that's the only thing, that would be the only monkey wrench to the project.
We don't have to wait on working with the utilities if we decide to reject and go out,
No,
to
they-
Tim's point.
Jason's been working with PSE&G and Veolia in tandem.
Have PSE and G and Veolia said how long their work is going to take?
Like most of the conflict is actually where the storm capture is gonna be, because we have a water main going through the middle of that. I'm actually scheduled to have a seepage, some test pits next week with a contractor and with Biola to make sure how deep is that system right there. So yeah, through the middle of that is going it's a water main going through there. So I'm actually, like I say, I'm on a schedule next week to do a test pit with them to know how deep their system is, and based on that, they're gonna give me a timeline of how long is that gonna take to move their line from there. So,
Okay.
So most likely by next week, I'm gonna have an answer of how long is they're gonna take to move that. Based on that, it's a very small length. I would say 2 weeks once they give the okay for them to do the work. So that
Okay.
and that can be done, even if there's snow on the ground. So.
Okay.
So that wouldn't even cause an issue if we had to start in April anyway. They would have done all of their work.
Yeah, they will have to own the work. And then the only other issue that we will have to work with Suez at the same time would be some laterals going through this pipe, even though we laid that pipe right, below them. So that will be more like once the contractor is constructing this pipe, we'll see what conflict we have. We'll have to reach Suez, but I don't see that being an issue. My bigger issue is on the storm capture, which the water main is going through. Services can be relocated easily. It's just water main needs to have the pressure and needs to be proper, regulated. That's all.
Okay.
And if feels everybody, feels better, I can put something on the specs saying that this project has to start first week of April, and then give them 2 months to finish the project, so that we can lock that contract in there too. So.
Well, could that raise the price, though?
No.
Okay, yeah, as long as it doesn't affect the price, then it's a good idea.
So do we need to take a vote right now?
No, well, right now is just, I have the consensus to put on the next meeting a resolution to reject the bids and rebid the project. We'll work out the dates for the advertisement and the bid opening, but it will happen either the very end of October, beginning of November. And now the next step is to authorize the CFO to put the balance of funding into the bond ordinance, because the very latest we can introduce a bond ordinance is the second meeting in November, because, let me just make sure the December meeting.
So we can direct them now, though?
Yes.
Is that amount enough? Do you think we should be doing slightly more? Because we really don't know.
So I was gonna put $1 million additional.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
the number I had it in my template.
Okay.
Which should get us what we need.
Okay.
And if it doesn't,
Well, especially if we don't have to account for the milling costs, like you said, that should
Right.
significantly lower it, so.
Right, so yeah. Oh, so that's another, from the 1.7, we have to add another probably 100,000, so 1.8, so yeah, roughly that, 1.8, 1.9. So yeah, 2.8.
so maybe it'll go up a little bit higher.
Okay.
But,
All right, let's just-
I'll touch base with you before we finalize.
I don't want to have to do it again. Okay. We don't have to.
I mean, if we put it in and we don't use it, we're not using it,
Absolutely.
so we should,
But I
might
don't
as well
want any
account for it.
Additional delays. if-
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have a consensus then?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you all, and we're doing our best to help you out as quickly as we can.
We've heard you, we've heard you.
Yes.
Oh, we understand, yeah, I understand.
So, I'm just double checking the calendar. The very latest we can introduce a bond ordinance is the second meeting in November, so that way we could adopt in December and secure the funding in the calendar year.
All right. Okay, so we're moving on to item 12, second reading and hearing on ordinances. The following ordinance published herewith were read first by title only on September 12th, 2022, and posted on the bulletin board outside the clerk's office. A, ordinance 2214, an ordinance to fix the salary, wage, and compensation of the employees of the Department of Public Works, represented by Local 125, International Brotherhood of Teamsters Blue Collar Unit, for the years 2022. And that's the only ordinance. And Lisette, could you please provide us a synopsis of that?
last meeting, we adopted the collective bargaining agreement with the employees of the Department of Public Works that fall under Local 125. So this salary ordinance just establishes the salaries for every year of the contract, which is mid-2022, July 1st through December 31st, 2027.
Okay, so could I have a motion and a second on ordinance 22-14? Oh, sorry. I'd like to open the floor to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I don't think there's, if anyone wishes to speak on ordinance 2214, please come forward and state your name and street for the record. Okay. So could we have a motion and a second to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I'd like a motion and a second to adopt on second and final reading of ordinance 2214, and notice of the same shall be published according to the law.
So moved.
Second.
And could I have a roll call?
Councilwoman Dees?
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo?
Yes.
Council President Calvin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mallory?
Yes.
Okay, next is item 13, resolutions. And I'd like to have 22-281 tabled. Someone could, before we move forward.
Second.
So moved.
Okay.
So moved, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so moving ahead with the resolutions, 22-274 through 22-280. And then do I have to do 22-282 separately, or? Okay. So could I have a motion and a second to approve resolutions 22-274 through 22-280?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we need a roll call, sorry.
Councilwoman Dees?
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo?
Yes.
Council President Calvin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mallory?
Yes.
Okay, and next, I'd like a motion and a second for 22-282, authorized receipt of bids, planting of street trees within the borough of River Edge.
So moved.
And second?
Was there a second?
Second.
Okay, and roll call?
Councilwoman Dees?
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo?
Yes.
Council President Calvin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mallory?
Yes.
Okay, next up is 22-283. At a regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on September 29, 2022, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge approve the following expenditures: current fund, $297,063.35. Capital Fund, $226,605.42. Grant Fund, $855.63. Trust Other Fund, $6,881.54. Open Space Fund, $242.89. Trust Other Developers Fund, $570. Self-Insurance Trust, $2,572.62. Recreation Trust Fund, $2,396.74. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a roll call, sorry.
Councilwoman Dees?
Yes.
Yes.
Council President Calvin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mallory?
Yes.
And next, item 15, new business. Does anyone in the governing body have any new business to discuss tonight? Okay. Item 16, old business. Item A is girls softball field. Any comments from anybody?
I'll just give an update of what we had a rec meeting that was supposed to be scheduled last week, but we had it this week. And the Regal and the league had done a presentation with the subcommittee, and which was very good. Everybody was in agreement on what they wanted, and we're trying to schedule the stakeholders meeting in October. Tentative date of October 13th, which I know is the mayor and council meeting as well, but we're trying to see what we can do. And basically, the rec commission would like to get concrete numbers from, and liaise with Jason, our superintendent, Jason Melito, as well as Costa's office, to see what exactly needs to be done in order to improve Roosevelt and what the actual real cost would be, because we kind of just have estimates before. They want all those numbers pretty more accurate than it is now in order to go to all the stakeholders with this presentation and say, hey, this is what we'd like to do to Roosevelt. And then they will then come to mayor and council with that presentation, and hopefully mayor can connect with the Board of Ed.
So October 13th is the stakeholder meeting?
It's tentative,
but-
yes.
And the presentation of the funding and the numbers is at that meeting or after
No,
that
it
meeting?
was already done. It was a presentation done by Regal and mostly Regal, and Little League attended the subcommittee meeting with the rec, and they gave a presentation, and the numbers were, fairly low on the lower side. So we just want to make sure we have accurate numbers, because there was some
What
other.
numbers and who's giving these numbers?
The Regal presented, I'll give you the items that they had on the presentation. One was scoreboard, sprinklers, dugouts, fencing, and I believe signage was the last one, but forgive me if I forget something, but that was there. However, I believe someone had mentioned drainage, but that was not included in their numbers. So we want to make sure with Jason from Costa's office that is, if it's needed, that needs to be included before they present to the stakeholders. So we have an accurate number.
To move forward, the governing body has to grant consensus, because that is money being spent for the engineering service to do these estimates. So
Okay.
that's not part of like regular engineering, that would fall under the special projects line.
So how do we move that along to make sure that, if
I've-
we
I've-
even want to do that?
I've been
I don't
very
know.
clear about this. I do not believe in investing in other people's properties, all right? I've said it. You don't rent a house, build an addition, and let the landlord kick you out 2 weeks later. So unless we have some sort of promise from the Board of Education that we will have these fields for 10 years, they can't kick us out, there's none of this 90-day notice nonsense, then we can talk about it. If we don't have that, I do not think it would be fiscally responsible to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in a field that can be taken away from us. And I'm not saying by this board or by this superintendent, we just don't know who's coming down the pike.
Correct, but that's definitely what was discussed in the meeting as well, and obviously the 90-day clause is a deal breaker. There's no one's going to sign that, but.
But we're being asked to give consensus, and I cannot give consensus unless I know some of these answers.
No, that's what we're
We're
trying.
for engineering services to give
The estimate.
an estimate, not to do the work.
Spending money, though. We're being asked to spend money.
We are.
Right, and
Well, have
right.
we been asked? I don't know. Has REC come forward to say they want us, are you asking this body?
They would like to have, well, I didn't know that there was a cost in order to just, for them to go and look at the space and tell us.
Yeah,
And give an estimate. I didn't know that's
Yeah.
something that was gonna,
Every estimate that they perform goes under general engineering for projects that we know of that we're undertaking, or special projects. So, it's just their time, their research, and taking the measurements or whatever is needed to come up with the estimate.
But don't we have a professional services line that would cover that?
We have a special projects line, but this isn't yet a mayor's and council's special project. This is.
But wouldn't it be covered under professional services? We have money under professional services. I don't think this is gonna, I don't know how much it's gonna cost, but is it gonna break the professional services?
No, but just to have a paper trail of the process, because eventually whether this moves forward or any other project moves forward, and we're soliciting grants, and we eventually attend a hearing, whether it would be the rec director or myself, we have to give the whole history of how we came about.
I understand that, but we have professional service dollars. Can't we use those to pay Costa or whomever to come out and assess the area?
It's just since it's the rec commission asking, the rec commission cannot engage Costa. It is the governing body that has to provide the authorization. So if that's
Does
the
this,
case.
look, the rec commission has come to us and said that they've felt in the past that mayor and council haven't communicated well. Is this a request straight from the rec commission? Why is the rec commission not here? Well, this is what I'm asking. Why are they not here to make this request?
I don't think they understood that they needed, and
Well, I
I
mean,
did not,
that-
I did not
This
convey
is what
that
they
because I
want.
did not.
They
did
want
not-
engagement with us, and they should be here so that we can
Right,
discuss
but this
these
is,
things.
this is something that we discussed in the meeting, and I did not realize that they had to come here to request services from Costa's office, because I thought.
Did they
as-
know
as
this
Ellen-
was on the agenda?
They don't know it's every single week, so I mean, like,
So
but we're
I don't
just
think we
getting.
can fault rec for not being here if they
I'm
were
not faulting anyone, Ellen. I'm just
I'm
saying
just-
that rec has asked us to be more engaging with them, to take their thoughts and processes into account. And I think they should come here and present to the mayor and council as part of that. It has to be a symbiotic relationship on both sides. So I believe that, I appreciate everything. I'm not in any way saying anybody did anything wrong. I'm just saying that rec should be here presenting these things, if that's it. It just sounds like kind of willy-nilly, the same thing we've been going through for years and years and years in this. We've taken these steps already. We've gotten quotes. Now, of course, those quotes don't apply anymore because of all these increases in inflation and prices and so forth, but we've taken these steps before and we've hit that end. So I just want rec to be involved in every step here at the mayor and council level. And they came to us, they made it very plain that we weren't engaging properly, and I think that we should be from now on. That's
So
all.
Should this be a formal item on the agenda for the next
For
meeting?
next meeting, right.
I mean,
But
I don't know what
I-
Indira's, I don't know.
Well, in terms of timing, because we want to be able to go and present this to the stakeholders in a timely fashion, right? Basically, we want everybody to have a voice.
Who
And
are the
so
stakeholders?
I'm going to rattle off the individual or groups that I was told about. Save the Park, Shade Tree, but everybody has to be involved. Shade Tree, Regal, Little League.
But this is property that is not municipal property. I'm just asking questions. That's all I'm doing. You can explain it to me, right? This is property that's not municipal property. So why is Shade Tree involved? What is their involvement in it?
We were just told that we have to have all voices heard.
By whom?
So this is
Who
pretty
told?
much.
Who were we told that?
Well,
by?
when the
But isn't this discussion also including Memorial Park? It's not simply Roosevelt, right? It's whether or not the
Right.
facility at Memorial Park is going to be reallocated. Does any work have to be done to that? I thought that's why Shade Tree and EPC were asking to be involved as well, because it wasn't just the school property.
Okay.
It was a holistic look at the two fields that
Well, that's
exist
different.
currently.
That's completely different than what I understood. So
That-
then I take it back. Then that makes sense.
Right, that it was,
Yes.
my understanding was that it was looking at fields that were in the
have.
town, whether we own them or we didn't, to take a holistic approach to allocation of space.
And
I could be wrong,
Little
but
League in the
that's-
meeting understood that it's on the table that one of the fields might be taken away from them. Did they
yes,
understand that?
Little League,
Okay.
when they were there, they're absolutely they're willing. If this doesn't happen the way that, obviously they do not want to give up their field. However, if this doesn't come to fruition, they are more than willing to work with Regal on this.
Yeah, as long as everybody understands
That
what
was
is
made
being
clear,
faced. I don't want to be
yes.
accused of,
That-
doing something under behind walls or whatever.
No,
you know,
this is
privacy and-
but this
and
is
so
why they want all the stakeholders there, so everything is transparent, and they're going to have the meeting.
Makes sense.
So, again, I did not know that we had to formally request cost of services and allocate money to just looking at
Because
this.
this wouldn't fall under general engineering. I will receive a bill for it and need to know what account to tell finance to encumber the funds from.
But all the funds we're talking about are for the Roosevelt possible project, or like what
I
would
think
be?
it's drainage for both, right? Isn't that?
No, just for Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what did Little League, what numbers did they present?
Little League didn't, Regal presented the numbers, so
What
basically.
did Little League present?
They were there in tandem with Regal, in support of Regal. So they were saying that they were willing, if this doesn't happen, they are
If the
absolutely,
Roosevelt field doesn't happen.
right, they are willing to, because they want this to go forward because they use the fields in Roosevelt as well.
Enrico is still going to give money towards this project?
That hasn't been discussed at the moment. We need to get the numbers first, and that's where we're at.
Right, but just in general, though, they're still for giving a large portion, as they had promised before, for this project.
I don't know what was promised before, but I will bring this up the next meeting.
Okay.
So is there consensus to make the arrangement and fund whatever time is spent to come up with this estimate? That's what I need.
Any idea what this would cost? I mean, I don't want to give a consensus on funding if I don't know what it costs. I mean, are we talking about a few $100s, several thousands dollars? You know, I mean.
I don't know how much time they have to put into it. It depends on the time.
It's never
I feel like Costa has done this already.
I told you,
Which is
I said that, I started with
Which is
that.
why I think maybe a call to Costa to find out what type of work he
Ah.
may have done already at looking, because
But shouldn't REC maybe meet with Costa, like, shouldn't that be one of the meetings, like REC and
But that's
Costa
what they
meet
want to
and talk
do. That's
about
why,
this?
that's why we're,
Well, but
Well, no.
those numbers were from whatever prior year's negotiations are. So those numbers have to be updated as well as any changes, whether things are going to be taken out from whatever the initial discussions were, or things to be added, or
Yeah, I don't
some
think
type-
scoreboards, for example, were ever discussed, so that's numbers that wouldn't
So
have been
there-
in
that
the
wouldn't be
original
a-
ones.
okay.
That's
So-
not a Costa
And
issue,
if
though.
there are any conditions, site conditions that may have changed that could increase or decrease the numbers. So it's, those numbers are however many years old and need to be updated.
So do we want to have REC come to the next meeting before we move forward with this, or do we want?
I'm also a little concerned about why we're not formally engaged with the Board of Education. If they're willing to work with us, would they be willing to partner in some of those professional service fees?
Ah.
I'm a little concerned about
Where are
why.
we getting the Board of Education involvement, though?
I'm
mean,
sorry?
where are we getting the Board of Education involvement from, though?
Hasn't Tom been speaking?
I
with the
I
superintendent?
haven't, truthfully, I haven't been able to speak to Tom for a while. I've had a lot going on this summer, so I don't know. So that's what my question is.
We'll just put this on for the next meeting for clarification.
Okay,
Probably makes sense.
and possibly ask REC to attend
Yeah,
as well.
just so they can give us
Yeah.
their, right, like, what is it that they're looking at, right? Like, so we can understand from their point of view. I mean, let's do this the right way. Let's let them build the base, and then we can decide where to go from it, as opposed to just spend money willy-nilly. Because I just feel, and, we've done this before, and most of you guys weren't on the board, Ellen and I were, but we've gone through these steps before, and we spent money before, and now we're at a place where money is so tight in this town that every dollar has to be accounted for. We just have to do it.
Okay.
But I am pleased to hear that the two, the Little League and Regal, are having open dialogue, and there's willingness to work with one another. I think that's a very positive development, so thank
Absolutely.
you for reporting on that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you to them for coming together.
Okay, so just to be clear, they can't ask Costa to go and check the space without
No,
approval.
it's,
Okay.
the only people that could give direction are the governing body or myself from receiving direction from the governing body. Committees cannot reach out to the engineer, because then that money has to be spent.
But through the liaison, could the engineer meet with a couple of members of the rec commission to understand what it is generally that they're looking for? And so that he can give an idea of what it might cost us and give us
That's all
just
we
a
want.
general.
That's all we want.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Okay.
If that's what the governing body wants, I could convey that to Rob and Jason.
Okay.
So just let me know who should be the point person for them to reach out to.
Okay,
Were there minutes at this meeting taken? And we haven't traditionally done minutes, but, it was raised at the last meeting that I was at. So were there minutes taken, and are those
from this
minutes-
last meeting or
Yeah,
the
from
previous
your- from
meeting?
your- I guess from whatever
From
meeting.
both yes, Michelle Ryan did send minutes, and I thought she sent it to everybody, but I will forward it to everybody.
I didn't get
You didn't get it?
Aren't
Okay,
they
so,
normally listed under monthly reports?
If the clerk's office receives it.
Maybe just make sure moving forward that they're submitted to the clerk, so
Yeah.
they're part of our reports.
And this way we can see exactly what it is, and it gives us a better idea.
Right. All right, moving on to other old business, update on construction projects.
Okay, well, we spoke about Voorhees and how to move forward. So the update on our current projects with Riverside Co-op and the train station as well. The asphalt testing that I had mentioned at the last meeting was performed this past Monday, and the results are expected next week on the quality of the asphalt. In addition, Rob Costa will be meeting with the contractor of the Riverside Co-op, American Asphalt and Trucking, to look for solutions, because there is a ponding issue on Beach Drive and Wayne Avenue. And based on the survey of the area, the topography is very flat, so there's no pitch to divert the water. So we'll look into a solution to remediate the ponding that is there without having to disturb the road again. So I should have something on that soon. Our ADA ramps, the 2021 project, the restoration is complete, so the final closeout is just paperwork, receiving an invoice and the maintenance bond. With 2022, the ramps are completed, so we're currently coordinating the parking lot portion of the project, which would be Company 1 and the Center Avenue lot, the northern part of the train station lot. Next week, we're going out to bid for Bogart Road Section 5 and 6, as well as the flashers. So hopefully, I'll have recommendations for award, if not the October 13th meeting, the 24th meeting. Today, I had a pre-construction meeting on the Community Development Block Grant project on Reservoir for sidewalk improvements and replacement. The areas from Kinderkamak Road to Bogart Road. The anticipated time period for the project, it will take about 3 weeks. It's anticipated to start in mid-October, weather permitting. For the current round, we're still waiting to hear from HUD, Housing and Urban Development, about the funding. The county did recommend to fund $158,000 of the original application, which was $179,000. And so the whole area of Oxford and Rutgers for sidewalk replacement is a large project and is being done in phases. So this morning, actually, Mr. Flores and I were talking about the new grant round, since that application opened and is due by December. So we'll continue with the Oxford-Rutgers area as long as we still have a census tract. And I don't know if you got to see, it was later this afternoon, the video of the Oak Ditch repair. The wall is complete, so it's now just restoration work, and that's just a matter of days. And as far as the library, the carpeting was done this week. Air conditioners were installed but aren't operational yet because the wiring is not compatible, so they have to work out the electrical. And with supply chain issues, the generator, which was supposed to arrive sometime late this summer, is now expected to arrive in February. Wow. So that's aside from the wiring, the generator is the final piece of that project. And that's where we stand with our projects.
Okay. Next up, number 17, public comments, limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Could I have a motion and a second to open the floor to the public on any item on this agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. If anyone wishes to make public comment, please come forward and state your name and your street for the record.
Good evening. I'm Melvin R. Solomon, 6 Eastbrook Drive, River Edge. I wanted to make some comments about the construction project on Valley Road between Mohawk, I believe it is, and Oak. I understand that that project is taking place as a meaningful project. I don't know when it's going to end. But the problem is that the traffic signs and things on Valley Road are totally, first of all, they're very hazardous. Second of all, they're very confusing and actually inaccurate. One of the problems is that if you're traveling down Howland Avenue, and you're going to make a turn onto Valley Road, you can't make the turn because there's a sign taking up half of the road. And not only is it taking up half the road, but it's such you don't see it until you make the turn, so there's a chance of hitting it. And the sign says road closed, which isn't actually true, because there's at least 4 streets as you come out on the left-hand side of Valley Road where people can turn, and they have to turn to get there. So first you have to navigate that sign, and if you try to go around the sign, there's an better than even chance a car coming in the direction will hit you head on. So I just see no reason for that sign being there. It serves no purpose. Then there's another sign about halfway down Valley Road on the other side. That would be, I guess, on the northbound side or northwest side or southwest side, also saying road construction. And again, that means people have to maneuver around that sign. So that sign's on no purpose. The only place there should be a sign is at the corner of Valley Road and Eastbrook Drive. Because from there you have some problems. There you can't make any turns. Actually, you can make a turn on Oak Avenue, and it's sort of confusing also, because if you're going down, Oak Avenue is still available. So those signs just create a total confusion for anyone going that way. And I think really present a real hazard, especially the one at Howland and Valley. That if you go there and look where that sign is, someone's going to either hit that sign head on or get hit going in the opposite direction. And that sign serves no purpose. I don't know what the rules are of having signs or something put on the aprons of the street. But anything the sign should be there, or it should be a raised sign on a platform overlooking, saying road closed ahead. The other thing is that there's really no detour or directional signs for people traveling on Valley Road. So for example, if you're traveling on Valley Road, I guess it would be eastbound, to get out to River Edge and down and around the exit, you have to make a left turn. You make a left turn, you can go all the way down to Howland and go around. There's no indication that could be done. And going the other way, there's no indication also. So it's very confusing. Now, my understanding is that project's going to be done in a couple days or so. I'm not sure.
Weather permitting, it's about 4 or 5 days.
Oh,
And it's just restoration work, no longer excavating. So, but any traffic questions, you could either reach out to Chief Walker or Sergeant Diamond, because they set up the detour route.
Okay, well, but those signs, they're just very, very hazardous, I can say that.
Okay.
But you said it'll be done in 4 or 5 days?
Yes, it's just restoration. They're done with excavation, they're done with construction, so it is just restoration work.
So the street will be open anyway?
That I do not know. I'm not a traffic expert. That's up to the police. I don't know what type of vehicles have to come in for the restoration. It's not the heavy excavators, but there will be heavy vehicles coming in.
And after that, then how long would it be after those 4 or 5 days until it's complete, the project?
No, the restoration is just, it's the end piece of the project. Once the restoration's done, the project is done.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, next up, 18 council comments.
Maybe we could move to close.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is 18 council comments. Would anyone like to comment on anything?
I just want to remind everybody that River Edge Day is this Sunday, and the rain date is next Sunday, the 9th, and hopefully we can have it be this Sunday, but weather pending.
Well, I was texting with Ms. Ryan earlier, and she said she's going to poll the commission tomorrow based on the track. You know, Hurricane Ian is now a hurricane again. It went over water. It has hurricane strength, so the weather forecast is constantly changing. So the commission will be notified. They'll be polled, and if there's any changes, it'll be put on the website, and I'm sure on the Facebook and
Nixle.
the constant contact.
Yes, so at least we do have the rain date for next Sunday, so.
Okay, I would just say congratulations again to the Storm Drain Art Contest winners and Little League 9U. We have your certificates, we'll get them to you, and Regal 12U and 2-3 travel softball team. So could I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.